When Cyclone Alfred was bearing down on southern Queensland and northern New South Wales, the impact on the property market was probably not high on the list of considerations for citizens of those areas. But in the aftermath of this major weather event, there will be some thought given to how home values will be impacted by storm damage and floodwaters. The reality is that Australian property markets typically show remarkable resilience in the face of natural disasters, whether they be cyclones, storms, floods, bushfires, or periods of drought. Locations with a history of major weather events somehow manage to shrug off those impacts and deliver strong price growth, usually after an initial short-term negative impact. One of the locations affected by Cyclone Alfred was the nation's unluckiest town, Lismore. The northern New South Wales town has a history of floods from the Wilsons River, including two major events in 2022 and notably the record flood in February of that year. Yet in the past 12 months, Lismore house markets have shown remarkable recovery. The median price of South Lismore fell from a peak of $460,000 around the time of the 2022 floods to a trough of around $200,000 by the end of that year. But in the last 12 months, the median price has risen 26% to get back up to $330,000. Central Lismore dropped from $575,000 to a trough of $320,000, but following a remarkable 37% recovery in the past 12 months, it has reached $505,000 to recoup most of the value that was lost. Lismore Heights was less affected, with values today higher than at the time of the 2022 floods. Now, Gympie on the Mary River, a little north of the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, has a history of big floods, including a record event in February 2022. But that most recent disaster caused only a minor pause in the growth of Gympie house prices, with its median price rising 11% to $540,000 in the past 12 months. That compares to $310,000 4 years ago. Townsville in the tropical north of Queensland has a history of cyclones and floods, including a major event in 2019 and recent floods in January, February of this year. It has been one of Australia's busiest markets and a national leader on price growth in the past 2 years. Houses are selling in Townsville in less than 2 weeks typically, and in the past 12 months most Townsville suburbs have recorded median price rises well above 20%, including some like Garbutt and Rasmussen, which lifted more than 30%. Townsville suburbs have averaged price growth of 12 to 15% per year over the past 5 years. And then of course Brisbane, which was built on a floodplain and has a considerable track record of floods, but it continues to deliver price growth. In fact, almost leading the nation in the last 12 months. Its median prices rose 10% for houses and 14% for units in the past 12 months, and the median house price now is approaching $1 million, well above Melbourne and topped only by Sydney.